Good morning, everyone. I am trying to use a video for this uh, lecture so that it will be easier to see what we're talking about rather than having to read it all in text. So we'll try it out and see how it goes. So this week you are working on your outlines of your research project, and I hope you can see everything that's on the paper here, and I'll walk you through it so that it makes sense. For the research project, you are creating two outlines. One is called a spatial outline, which you see before you, and the other is a linear outline, which you will see in a moment. So there are a couple of reasons for this. One, the outlines enable you as a student to conceptualize your paper as a whole and to help you focus your research into related categories and other things that you come across, then you can discard since they won't be related to what it is that you're working on in your paper, since obviously you can go in many different directions in any given topic. And the outlines help you keep your focus. So for the spatial outline, what you're doing is you are putting your thesis in the top here. And when you create this document on your own, you can do this in Microsoft Word through clip art. And if you're not sure how to do that, you can certainly Google it and get clearer instructions for how to do that in the computer. But when you do it, it should all be typed up in text. So you will put your thesis at the top, which is your debatable statement about which well-informed parties may disagree, and you can look up more specifically the definition in the passage that you read last week in the textbook. So your thesis will go at the top, and for the meantime you can think of it as your central idea for your research paper, what it is that you're looking at. And then you're going to think about how you are approaching your paper. And for many of you, I gave you suggestions in feedback about different areas that you will look at within your topic. And these are listed right here in the three boxes. And I gave you a little key down here. Those are your arguments or your approaches that you are taking to your topic. So for example, if you were thinking about working with alternative energy as the subject for your research paper, your thesis might be that it's imperative that we invest in alternative sources of energy, and that you think there are three different avenues that offer the most promise. Those could be solar energy, they could be wind energy, and it could be hydro energy. And those would be your three arguments or approaches. Then for each of those subcategories, if you will provide two examples, and that's example 1 and example 2. Example 1, 2, 1, 2. And for the first one, if we said that was wind energy, you might talk about the pros and the cons. You might talk about pros and cons here, and then talk about financial feasibility, etc. But somehow you're going to break this subcategory down into two approaches. And the reason that you do your outline this way, one, it helps you to see the whole thing as sort of a spatial relationship, and also it helps you to create balance within your paper. So each of these examples on the bottom here will translate into one paragraph in your paper. And so if you see it that way, you can very easily come up with 6 paragraphs for your paper. You add your introduction, you add your conclusion, and your paper pretty much starts to take shape on its own. The other advantage is that if you get stuck in one of these paragraphs, say you're in the second one for solar and you want to do more research for your second example, you can certainly skip over that and move on to your next category and go back to that later and fill it in, so that you're not stuck writing a paper from the top down without any idea about where you're going to get to at the end. So once again, this is your spatial outline. This is the first one that you are to do. It helps you think about your paper more in a relationship sort of way, how they're all working together to come up with a cohesive whole, and it helps you create balance with your paper and stay focused.